Hey, Alan Cortez here. I want to talk about 5 quick and easy ways to teach your parrot to fly, even if it's an adult. I got my Senegal parrot here, Elfie. And there's a common misconception that I see among parrot owners and bird owners in general. And they think that when you first get a bird, it has to be a baby bird in order to be able to teach it to fly, and that, adult birds, they don't learn how to fly as well, or they can't learn how to fly. And that's not necessarily true. So I got Elfie about 3 years ago. He was 7 years old when I got him, and he was rehomed. He was really scared of being in an outside environment that wasn't his cage, and he was naturally very jitterish and shy. He's still a little bit shy and a little jitterish, but we're working on that, and he's gotten a lot better since. And he did not know how to fly. I'm talking like he was scared to even go past like 5 inches to my finger without the fear of falling off of his perch. So I taught him step by step, and I just want to talk about 5 ways that you can teach your adult parrot to fly. And number 1, you have to make sure that you establish a bond with your bird and that you don't rush into it too fast. So when you first get a bird, it's going to be unfamiliar with its environment. It's not going to really know who you are, where it's at. If it's coming from a bird store or sanctuary, it's used to its current environment. So it's going to, be on high alert, so to speak, right? And birds are naturally prey animals, so they have those, natural flight responses, right? So with that being said, establish a bond. Make sure that you are interacting positively with your bird. Every time you come to its cage, give it a treat, one of its favorite treats, say hello, hang out with it. When you first get it for the first, few days to a week, just kind of, the first day, let it be in its cage. Don't do too much with it. That's one of the mistakes I did with Elfie. I didn't fully understand his personality, and I was just trying to do too much with him, and he kind of was a little shy. A lot of positive interaction. Make sure that it gets to know you and it likes you, and it's going to establish the teaching it flight a lot faster and easier. And just make sure that you're taming your bird. If your bird is biting you, it's showing aggressive behavior, it's really scared of its environment or any of these things, you want to make sure you address these things first, because if your bird is unclipped and you're working on these things and then you try to teach it to fly, but it doesn't have a bond with you, it hasn't learned the basics, it's got some fearful behavior or something, it's not going to go well for you with the flight training. Number 2, you want to establish clicker training and target training first. So it's very simple. You grab a chopstick, you grab a clicker, and you teach your bird that when it touches the stick, and you give it a click, and then you give it one of its favorite treats, a little treat, and you give it a reward. So this establishes whenever it comes toward that stick or touches that stick, it's going to get some sort of reward. And it's super powerful. It's a super powerful technique, and that's absolutely necessary when you're going to start teaching your bird to fly. So with that being said, focus on clicker training on a perch from one end to the other, teaching it to come to the chopstick or the stick and touch it through its cage. Establish this first before you dive into, flight. And number 3, you want to make sure that you have your bird motivated. And this is another mistake that I see a lot of, bird owners and parrot owners make in general, is that they're trying to teach their bird something, teaching them to fly, but the bird has no motivation. And that's because they give it unlimited access to food throughout the day. And when you first get your bird, yes, you want to give it access to food throughout the day. You want to make sure it's comfortable. But after, a week or 2, you want to start really feeding your bird in the morning, and then wait toward the afternoon when you're going to do your training session. Do your training session first and then feed him his last meal, because in the wild, they don't have free access to food. And some people might think, hey, you know what, that's cruel. It's not going to get to eat. You're starving your bird. You're really not, because think about it. They're not really doing much in their cage aside from playing. They're not flying around, exercising, looking for food or foraging. They're, for the most part, hanging out all day. And birds can easily get overweight if you, overfeed them and you give them unlimited access to food, and they're just not going to listen to you because they have no motivation. So step number 3 is make sure that your bird is motivated. Make sure your parrot is hungry, either if you're doing your training session early in the morning before it eats, or before its last meal in the afternoon is going to be the best time to start flight training. And you want to try to go ahead and set up some netting in the room that you're going to be teaching your bird to fly in on opposite ends of the walls with like command hooks. And you can buy some on Amazon. It's not too expensive. It's like $10. And the reason is, if your bird is unclipped, it's learning to fly, and it flies or it misses your hand, it's going to start flying around. And when birds don't really know how to fly, it's not a natural behavior. They have to learn it. They're gonna tend to crash into the walls. You don't want your bird to get hurt. And when you have that netting, it's gonna be a safety place for that bird to land anytime it potentially doesn't miss your hand. The other thing is you don't want to also let your bird associate crashing or getting hurt with you, because it's gonna set you back in your training. How do I know this? I know this from experience. Nothing too crazy, wasn't ever harmed too badly, but there was an instance where he flew around. I have carpet in my condo, my apartment. He had a soft landing into the blinds, and then landed softly on the carpet. But what I noticed is his behavior changed. He was now not starting to see flying as a positive thing, but as a scary thing. So that's why that netting is going to be important. You want every session to be positive. And you want to always end on a positive note with your bird. And also, baby steps. Don't rush it. I see a lot of parrot owners, they want to rush the process, and they think it's going to happen with the snap of a finger. Like, you're going to go from, week 1 to week 2, and it's going to be like, oh, this bird can fly, it can spin, it can, boomerang and fly back around to you, can do all these things, but that's not necessarily the case. You have to build your bird's confidence and take it in baby steps. It can take anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks of consistent, sessions, 5 days a week, 5 to 10 minutes each, to really get your bird comfortable with flying, and it's gonna be in incremental steps. And, at the end of the day, some days are gonna be better than others. And that's okay. Some days your bird's not going to be as motivated. Your sessions might only be like 1 to 2, baby flights. Sometimes it's going to be, 5 to 6 flights or more. It's just going to depend. And you also want to make sure you don't push it, because if you try to force your bird to do something that it's not responding to, you're just going to teach it, hey, I'm just going to come to you whenever I want, and I don't actually have to listen. So we don't want that, right? And number 4, like I mentioned before, never end on a bad session, because if the last thing the bird remembers is, being scared or flying or crashing into something, and then you put it in its cage, it's going to think, oh, you know what? Last time I did this, I crashed and I didn't like it, so I'm just not going to come, or I'm not going to want to participate in this training session. And from there, you want to make sure, Elfie, step up. You want to make sure that you start with a T-perch or a regular perch where you're going to be doing your basic flight training. And that's just so that it's a comfortable spot. You can collect your bird's poop on the bottom. Obviously, you don't want it to be pooping everywhere. And from there, when you have that, T-perch, you want to start target training your bird to come to your hand first. And, you want to first start target training. You put your bird on your perch. You have your clicker and your stick. And all you're doing is you're making your bird first go from the perch and step up to your hand, and then in incremental sessions, then teach slowly, take that distance farther back, and teach your bird to kind of give a little baby hop, a little baby flap to come to your hand. And that's going to be the first step in teaching it to have the courage to go from the perch to, flapping slightly to get onto your hand. And then from there, you would gradually increase the distance little by little of how far your bird has to fly in order to get to your hand. And then before you know it, you can, be 10, 15 feet away indoors, and then your bird's going to learn to fly to you from A to B. So you always want to start A to B. Don't make it do anything crazy. Like if you try to do ascending or descending, ascending takes more energy. If your bird hasn't flown in a while, they might have what's called a muscle atrophy in their wings, which is where they don't use their wings and their muscles aren't as strong. And this is part of the reason why we start small, and then we slowly work our birds up to learning how to do ascending and descending, which is harder. It takes a lot of skill. We teach them this in incremental steps, and also get their strength up, right? Get their wings to be stronger, give them a good diet, good nutrition as well. And yeah, that's basically where you want to start with. So you go from A to B, from perch to hand, and you can practice first targeting your bird. After that, you want to teach your bird, hey, what you doing, huh? It's not a toy. Chewing on my fingers? Come here. And from there, once you're teaching your bird to go from perch to your hand and incremental steps, you also want to practice targeting your bird to fly back to its perch. So in the same way, you would, hold your clicker and your targeting stick, and you would, point it toward the perch, and it would take the same distance from your hand to its perch, and you would click and reward once he goes back to that perch, right? And from there, another thing that you want to make sure you know, what you doing, huh? Another thing you want to make sure you know is if you call your bird more than twice and it doesn't come or it seems uninterested, don't keep calling your bird, because this is going to teach your bird, hey, you know what? I'm going to come whenever I want, and you're not teaching it to fly to you on command. So 1 to 2 calls at a minimum. Hey, 1 to 2 calls at a minimum. And if it doesn't, it's fine. You can simply turn around and go sit down at your desk, go sit down on your couch, or just turn around and check out your phone for a little bit. And basically this is teaching your bird, hey, you're missing an opportunity to get a treat, and I know that you're hungry. If you don't come, you don't get a treat, but if you do come, you're gonna get that positive reward and that positive interaction. So that's what we wanna be focusing on training your bird to do. And from there, this can take anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks. It's really going to depend on consistency, 5-10 minute sessions, 5 days a week. And it's going to depend on your bird's confidence and the quality of these sessions, right? It's not just about how many sessions you do, it's quality sessions and making sure that you're following all these steps in advance before you see the result of getting your bird to fly to you. But once you do get it to fly to you, it's super rewarding. It's awesome to be able to call your bird from wherever. It also gives them the skills to evade danger and land safely back on its cage or on a perch, or if it gets spooked or anything. So it's going to give your bird confidence, and it's one of the beautiful things that you can teach a bird because it's naturally what they're meant to do. Huh, Elfie? Yeah, buddy. Can you give me a kiss? No kiss? Can you give me a kiss? He's like, where's your treat? Where's your treat, buddy? Kiss. Oh, come on, kiss. I got you. Let's see here real quick. The key to a bird's heart is with the treat. Ooh, you gotta like that treat? Can you give me a kiss? Oh, good bird. Take a little bite. See that? Treat. Anything for the nut. Good bird, buddy. Can you whistle? Good bird, buddy. There you go. Come on. Get up in there. No, not the whole thing. Good bird. So, with that being said, that's it for this quick video on the 5 quick and easy ways to teach your parrot to fly, even if it's an adult. And with that being said, comment in the comment section below. What do you want me to talk about next? What topics are you interested in learning about when it comes to parrot training, bird training, behavior, aggression, flight training, all that good stuff. Check out our Instagram in the description below to follow Alfie's adventures with him and I. And with that being said, there's also a link to a Facebook group down below where you can join this free group, community of other parrot owners and bird owners, and really just help each other out with tips, tricks, knowledge on parrot training, parrot behavior, and just supportive community overall. Alan here, aka The Bird Bay, signing out, and I will see you guys next time.